Hello, my name is Pip and I'm inviting you to join me on a journey of self-discovery. And the self that I'm talking about is a particular aspect of the self. Now, what I'm going to say here is nothing new. There's nothing actually that any of us need to know more of, because everything we need to know in this world is within us. We were born with everything we need. And that is a sweeping statement, but it is so true. And this is what I want to talk about today. And it's about looking at the different sides of ourselves, or at least acknowledging the part of ourselves that we get caught up in. And that is the side of ourselves that, in my analogy of the van, they're the aspects that are in control of the steering wheel, and they're taking us down the road of our journey, and they're constantly chatting away. There's a running commentary, and we become victims to this because they're so engrossing, these thoughts that we have in our heads 24/7, that quite often we don't know that there's anything else within us apart from those thoughts, because they're so geared up to engaging us in every moment of our lives, in convincing us that we need to go from A to B, that everything is about the past and the future, which is where really they reside, that we don't get an opportunity to really ask the question, are you real? And the answer to that is, they're not. We are not our thoughts. Deepak Chopra says, I use my thoughts, but I do not allow my thoughts to use me. And this is the key. We aren't our thoughts. There is so much more to us than our thoughts. And it's this so much more that I want to talk about. It's the higher self. It's the choice maker. It's this part of ourselves that actually chooses whether to go with this thought or that thought. It's the part of ourselves that feels whether it's right or wrong. It's not the thought that is caught up in ideas, dogma, old patterns of thinking, ancestral habits, conditioning. It's not that part of ourselves that I'm talking about here. So in my analogy of the van, this higher self is the aspect that is in the back. It's like the 90% of our brains that we're not really in touch with. The aspect at the front of the van, which is our thoughts, our reasoning minds, our personalities, that's the part that we're in touch with. That's the 10% of our brain that seems to operate in our world. But there's so much more to us than that. That universal self is within everybody. Everybody has this aspect to themselves. And it's not differentiated by story. It's the innocence that is innate within us. I could call it common sense or intuition. But it's that part of us that is in touch with all that is. And we all have that. We're all born with that. There isn't any one person that has more of it or less of it. We've all got the same amount. But there are people that are more in touch with it, perhaps. And that's the part that I want to get in touch with more and more in my life. That's the part we can get in touch with during the process of listening. Because true, open, full body listening, which is what I'm suggesting, can only come about when we're completely focused and open. So the way I get in touch with that part of myself is with two God-given gifts that we're given when we're born. And that is breath and attention. Two very simple tools that we can use to get in touch with that place that we're all searching for. It's our inner world. It's our higher selves. It's our universal self. It's that part of us that connects us with everybody and everything on this planet, in this universe. And I want to talk about breath, because breath, it's right under our noses. It's what gives us life. It's something that we completely take for granted. And it is the gift. It's the ultimate gift. Breath itself is also the Holy Grail. It's within us. Just for a moment, with me, close your eyes, ask yourself this question. If I was to stop breathing right now, if another breath did not come into me, how would I feel? Well, I mean, it's a completely nutty question, isn't it? Because I wouldn't be feeling. I wouldn't even be alive. This whole existence wouldn't exist for me. And this is how important the breath is, and this is why I want to bring it into our attention, because it's incredibly powerful. With the breath, we can part the waves of thought. And the reason we can do that is because when we focus on the breath, it feels so wonderful. It actually feels gorgeous. If we just stop and allow it to come into us and feed every cell in our body and fill us with light, because that's actually what it does when we really focus on it. Our thinking minds also say, yeah, I don't mind focusing on this, it feels good. So the thinking mind focuses on the breath. And whilst the thinking mind is focusing on the breath and parting the waves of thought, we have this opportunity to go into that peaceful place. And it is so simple. And that's the place that we can share with everybody. Everybody on our journey. Everybody has a story to tell. We can listen to them with that open attention that we all crave. And whilst that person is telling their story, they may start in a place of disease. When they realise that they're in a completely safe place, because they can feel that present moment experience within me or within you as the listener, their story comes into that alignment as well. It's very powerful. Present moment experience is probably the most powerful thing. When you're in that place, everything else around you becomes in alignment with that, including the person who's telling their story. And it enables them to hear themselves, their higher self. It enables them to truly hear what it is that that part of themselves is trying to express. So it's a two-way thing. I'm feeling great because I'm in this present moment. I have the opportunity to practice this through my breath and through my attention and be in that peace. And the other person in my world who's telling their story gets to really hear what's being said by themselves. So it's a very simple mechanism of attention, breathing, offering that space to the other, acknowledging who they really are in this circle of give and take. And I truly believe that we can set a ripple of change going here just by listening, just by giving what it is that we need for ourselves. Quality attention. So if you want to join me on this journey, I would so love that. And below this video there's a document that is just a reminder, because that's my job in my life, is to remind myself to go into that place, to remind myself of who I really am, to remind myself that I am not my thoughts, that these things that are constantly rabbiting on are just tools for me to use, and my choice is to use them wisely and to put attention on what's important and to share that with you. So do come on this journey with me and we can see what happens. So thank you for your attention. Enjoy.